Can you see the whiteboard? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us start our discussion. So in the last class, I talked about a particular four vector, that is four acceleration. Today I will discuss about another important four vector, which will be very much useful for our uh, discussion on electric field and magnetic field, which is four force. So what is four force? So let us first define four force. We all know about three force, right, that we encounter in Newtonian dynamics. So what is four force? How do we define four force? Now, as you have seen for other four vectors, so the important criteria to be a four vector is that it has to satisfy Lorentz transformation. And the easiest way to construct a four vector is basically taking the proper time derivative of another four vector, right? So in Newtonian mechanics, we know what is force. That is the rate of change of momentum, dp dt. So we have already have this four momentum, and we can just define four force as the rate of change of the four momentum of a particle with respect to the particle's proper time. So you should also note that this proper time is the particle's proper time. So we are going to define the four force on a particle, which is F mu. Just a minute. So F mu is the four force, which is defined as the rate of change of four momentum with respect to the proper time of the particle. So dp mu is our four momentum. You already know what is p mu. D tau. Tau is the proper time. Right? And p mu is already known to us. What is p mu? P mu is energy of the particle E by c. It's a time component. And we have px, py, pz, or p vector. Okay, let us write px, py, and pz. So this is our four momentum, the four momentum of the particle. And I mean, the other steps are quite similar, since we can take a time derivative dp mu dt with respect to the usual time, and dt d tau, right? And we know what is dt d tau, that is gamma of u, gamma u. So f mu can be written as gamma u, and then we have 1 by c time derivative of the energy, total energy, dE dt, and then dpx dt, dpy dt, and dpz dt. So you can see that these special components dpx dt, dpy dt, dpz dt are nothing but the three components of usual this three-dimensional force that we use in Newtonian mechanics. So only new quantity which enters in this four force is the time component, which is 1 by c dE dt. So let us simplify this a bit further, gamma u, and then we write this 1 by c dE dt as u dot f by c. How can I write this? Because you see, dE is the change in energy, right? So say if I write dE to be f into dx, force into dx, the small displacement, so f dx, right? So dx dt is velocity u. So dE written as f dot dx, and dx dt is u, and f is there in the numerator. So f dot u, or u dot f, divided by c. And then we have the usual component of force, that is fx, fy, fz. Now, why are we interested in the four force? That I told you in the last class, that because we are interested in finding out the nature of electric field and magnetic field. And the most fundamental quantity that we observe is the force acting on a charged particle in an electromagnetic field. So that we already know about Lorentz force. When we place a charged particle, which may be stationary or moving in an electromagnetic field, we see that the charge particle experience a force, right? And we want to know how the force acting on a charge particle transform between different inertial frame. That will give us some idea about the nature of electric field and magnetic field. So let us first find out how this four force will transform under Lorentz transformation. Usually this is a four vector, so there is no doubt that it will follow Lorentz transformation because d tau is invariant, p mu is the four momentum, so it will follow Lorentz transformation. So let us take a simple scenario. Say we have an inertial frame, say S, which is the laboratory frame at rest, suppose. Okay, so let us call this S, and these are the axes of this inertial frame S in the laboratory frame. And suppose we have measured the force acting on a particle in this laboratory frame. So let us call that F mu, which you have just written above this, right? And we want to find out the components of F mu in another inertial frame, which could be stationary or moving. So here we are taking another frame which is moving along, say, a particular direction. Again, in an inertial frame moving along the x direction is the simplest one, which we usually consider, but you can choose any other frame. So let us call this S prime frame, X prime, Y prime, and Z prime. So we can easily write down the components of the four force in the S prime frame by using a Lorentz transformation, because we know this will satisfy Lorentz transformation. So we can write down F mu prime is equal to lambda mu F mu. And what is lambda mu nu? If I ask you what is lambda mu nu, because it is moving along the x-axis, so you only have time and the x component, gamma u. Don't forget to write the subscript, right? Gamma, no, this is gamma v, or gamma u, this is gamma v, because we are going to transform this, and this frame is moving with velocity v. So I should write gamma v minus of beta v, gamma v 0 0. Here I have minus of beta v gamma v, right? This is gamma v 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 1. So this is the different elements of lambda mu nu, and we just have to relate the components of the four force in the two form frame by using this Lorentz transformation. So let us where is that? 1 minute. Okay, so I shall write down the each of the individual components of the four force. So let us write down that. So what will be F0 prime? To ask you what is F0 prime, this will be gamma v times F0 minus beta v F1, right? Then we have F1 prime, which will be gamma v. Again, this is very easy to remember, there is symmetry, F1 minus beta v F0. And the other two components won't change because there are no motion along the y or z axis. F2 prime is equal to F2 and F3 prime equal to F3. And what are the values of F0 prime and F0? Let us write down that also. We just have obtained the expression for F mu. F mu is gamma u times u dot f by c fx, fy, and fz. Similarly, the primed quantities in the S prime frame will be gamma u prime, right? Because velocity gets transformed, u prime dot f prime by c, fx prime, fy prime, fz prime. So different components of four force will transform. So we shall substitute the different components and simplify it to get how they transform, right? the simplified version of the transformation of 4 4s. So I'm just substituting one by one. So you see we have these 4 equations here. So let us take the first equation. So I'm writing f0 prime. What is f0 prime? Gamma u into u dot f by c, right? Sorry, f0 prime is gamma u prime into u prime dot f prime by c. So I'm writing that. So let us label these equations. Say this is equation 1, 2, and 3 and 4. 3 and 4. So let us take the equation 1. So I'm just substituting the quantities on both sides. So gamma u prime dot f prime divided by c is equal to gamma of gamma v, right? So we have a gamma v outside, gamma v, and then inside bracket we have gamma of u dot f by c minus beta v, and what is f1? F1 is gamma u fx, x component of 4 4s, gamma u fx in the unprimed frame. So this we get from the, we can also take gamma u common. So gamma u, gamma v, inside the bracket we have u dot f by c minus beta v fx. One equation, right? So we will see what are the other. So gamma u, then gamma u from the second equation, again we are substituting gamma u prime fx prime, this is f1 prime, that is equal to again gamma v, inside bracket we have f1 which is gamma u fx minus we have beta v f0. So beta v f0, what is f0? F0 is gamma u dot f divided by c. Again we can take gamma u outside, so this will become gamma u gamma v into fx minus beta v u dot f divided by c. Fine. And then we have the third equation, which is very simple, gamma u prime fy prime equal to gamma u fy. And from the fourth equation, again gamma u prime fz prime equal to gamma u fz. So our goal is to write down the prime quantity, the prime fx prime, fy prime, fz prime in terms of fx, fy, fz, right? So, and also the velocity definitely, or gamma different gamma factors. Now if you see this expression, it is very clear that you need to know what is the ratio between gamma u and gamma u prime, because if you simplify this, see each of these equations will involve, if I write down fx prime, so what is fx prime? That will be gamma u divided by gamma u prime into gamma v inside bracket fx minus u dot f or v, beta dot I mean this beta dot f, or simply, okay, let us go to the next page. There are no much okay, next page. Okay, maybe I should write down some of these once again. Okay, so I am writing gamma u gamma u prime u dot f u prime dot f prime by c is equal to gamma u gamma v into u dot f by c minus beta v fx. This was the first equation. Second equation was gamma u prime fx prime equal to gamma u gamma v fx minus beta v u dot f by c. Third equation was gamma u prime fy prime equal to gamma u fy, and the fourth equation was gamma u prime fz prime equal to gamma u fz. Now if I want to calculate fx prime in terms of fx, this will require us to calculate gamma u divided by gamma u prime into gamma v fx minus u dot v by c square into v. So I have just replaced beta v as v by c, right? So that makes beta v as v by c. Yeah, this one first, fx one, this one. This beta is v by c. That's why I have written v by c square here. U dot f v by c square. And similarly, fy prime will be gamma u divided by. Why I'm not using the first equation? I can use the first equation as well, but I'm only writing down the three components of usual force. Why? Because that is the most used quantity in dynamics, right? When we calculate the force acting on a charged particle, we want to know what are the components of force acting on the charged particle. So that's why I'm writing fx prime, fy prime, fz prime only. But obviously you can also write down the first one and simplify the first one. Okay, so this one will be equal to gamma u by gamma u prime fy, and fz prime will be gamma u divided by gamma u prime fz. Now you see how to calculate this factor gamma u by gamma u prime. You may think that since we know the transformation of velocities, so we know what is ux prime, ui prime, uz prime in terms of ux, uy, uz. So maybe you can calculate the Lorentz factor, so which is 1 over square root of 1 minus u square by c square, where e square is ux square plus uy square plus uz square in one case, and in another case it is ux prime square plus uy prime square plus uz square. But if you do that, it will take a lot of algebra. You may have to do one page of algebra to find the value of it. It can be calculated in quite simple manner. If you remember the 4 velocity, say what is the 4 velocity? U mu, you don't need to do all that algebra. Gamma u into c and u, or ux, uy, uz. This is the 4 velocity. And when we transform it, we write down u0 prime equal to gamma v, the first component, gamma v u0 minus beta v u1, right? We don't need to do anything other than this, using this first equation. So let us look at this first equation. Put down the values. What is u0 prime? That will be gamma u prime into c. This will be gamma v inside bracket. What is u0? Gamma u into c. Gamma u into c. And then you have usual, no, this is minus beta v u1. What is u1? You know u1, that is ux. So this will be ux times v gamma u beta v gamma. Okay, let me write down. I don't want to skip any step. Beta v gamma u ux. This is the x component of the 4 velocity. Gamma u ux. Gamma u ux. You can take again gamma u outside. So gamma u gamma v, and this will give us c can be taken outside. There is a c on the left hand side. I have a c here. I can take c outside, but that will make it v by c square, right? Beta v is v by c. So if I take a c common, this c will go away, but there will be 1 by c square, v by c square here. So that's why it will be gamma. If I take gamma u gamma v common and then a c common, then I will get 1 minus ux v divided by c square, right? This c and this c can be thrown away. So finally you have gamma u by gamma u dot prime is equal to 1 over gamma v into 1 minus ux v by c square. This is the easiest way to calculate this ratio. Otherwise you have to do a lot of algebra. I mean, you will get the same answer, right? You can try it. You will get the same answer. but this is the easiest way. So we shall use this expression. We shall use this expression to simplify the transformation of force. So let us use that this gamma. So in each of these equation, in place of gamma u by gamma u prime, you can see I shall put this one by gamma v. So you can see this gamma v will cancel out from the first one. Gamma v will cancel out. So what will be fx prime? Fx prime will be fx minus v by c square into u dot f divided by 1 minus ux v by c square. Similarly, fy prime will be, there is no gamma v here, so gamma v will not be cancelled out. So fy prime will be fy divided by gamma v into 1 minus ux v by c square, and fz prime will be fz fz divided by again gamma v into 1 minus ux v by c square. So these equations are very important. So let us write down that in the next separate page. So we are writing down the transformation equation. So fx prime is equal to fx minus v by c square into u dot f divided by 1 minus ux v by c square, and fy prime will be fy divided by gamma v into 1 minus ux v by c square, and fz prime will be fz divided by gamma v into 1 minus ux v by c square. Once you get this three transformation equation, it is easy to write down the inverse transformation, because in the case of inverse transformation, the observer is switched. I mean, you go to the prime frame and ask what are the unprimed quantities in terms of prime quantities. So in that case, since I told you that there are no special inertial frame, if you go to the prime frame, what the observer will see that the unprimed frame is moving with velocity minus v along the negative x-axis. So it is velocity v along the negative x-axis. So in that case, only you have to change v to minus v. So that will the inverse transformations. The inverse transformations are, so I am writing fx in terms of fx prime. So fx will be fx prime plus v by c square, and then the prime quantities u prime dot f prime divided by 1 plus ux prime v by c. So all these minus becomes plus because of v going to minus v. And then we have fy equal to fy prime divided by gamma v into 1 plus ux prime v by c square, and similarly fz will be equal to fz prime divided by gamma v 1 plus ux prime v by c square. Okay, so now you know how the different components of force transform between two inertial frames. And now we are in a position where we can actually transform a Lorentz force between two inertial frames, because Lorentz force involves electric field and magnetic field. If you remember, Lorentz force is q times the electric field plus velocity cross magnetic field, right? So because the Lorentz force involves electric field and magnetic field, so if we know how the different components of three force transform between two inertial frame, then we can relate the electric field and magnetic field measured in two different inertial frames by using these transformation equations. That will be our next goal. Okay. Okay, so now we are jumping to calculate transformation of electric field and magnetic field. So that is an important goal of our course. So transformation of electric field and magnetic field. Right? We want to calculate So how the different components of E and B transform between two inertial frame. So first, let us consider a charged particle Q, which is moving with velocity v along the x-axis in the laboratory frame. So let us label this laboratory frame as S frame. Then we define another frame, S prime, which is attached to the charged particle. So that is the rest frame of the charged particle is labeled as S prime. So let us label the rest frame of the charged particle as S prime, which is moving with velocity v along the x-axis. And we also have to, let us assume that there is a background electromagnetic field present in space everywhere within which the charged particle is moving. Now the charged particle is moving in the S frame, right? Let us draw the picture that will simplify this little bit. So this is our lab frame. This is one inertial frame, say lab frame, where say let us call this frame as S. Let us imagine a charged particle Q, which is moving with velocity v in this laboratory frame, and we attach a frame with this charged particle. So charged particle Q, suppose this is charged particle Q, okay, and this charged particle Q is moving with velocity say v, okay, and the rest frame of the charged particle is labeled as S prime. So the charged particle is not moving in S prime, it is moving in S, okay. And I told you that there is a background electromagnetic field. So let us label that electromagnetic field as E and B in the laboratory frame. E and B are the electric and magnetic field in the laboratory frame. Now we want to calculate what are the corresponding quantities in the prime frame, or if the charged particle, suppose an observer is attached to the charged particle, so what will be the electric field and magnetic field measured by the observer which is bound to the charged particle. So let us then label this electric field and magnetic field in the moving frame or the charged frame as E prime and B prime. So you want to relate E prime and B prime with E and B. That is our next goal, because we already know how the force transform. Now we shall calculate the force acting on the charged particle, because there is a background electromagnetic field. So that electromagnetic field will exert some force on the charged particle, and we will relate the forces between the two frames using the transformation of force. Now if I ask you what are the different components of velocity of the charged particle in the laboratory frame, so what are the components? The charged particle is moving in the laboratory frame, right? So what is the x component of velocity? What is the x component of velocity? Anyone?
V, sir. Vx.
No, this is v. Ux equal to v. No, v. Okay, v. Ux is correct. You are right. Ux equal to v. What is uy?
0, sir.
Correct. Uy is 0. And similarly, uz is also 0. You are right. So these are the components of velocity of the charged particle in the unprimed frame or laboratory frame. What are the components of velocity of the charged particle in the prime frame? If I ask you what are the velocity components, what is ux prime?
0.
What is 0? Correct. So all the velocity components are 0 in the prime frame, because this is the rest frame of the charged particle. You don't need to bother about velocity of the charged particle in this frame, because in the rest frame the charged particle is always at rest, right? Now we know the expression for Lorentz force. So first of all, let me divide it into two portions so that it will be easier. Okay, here I will write the quantity in the S frame. Here I will write the quantity in the S prime frame. So what is the Lorentz force acting on the charged particle in the laboratory frame? Because in the laboratory frame the charged particle is moving, that's why it will experience a force both due to the electric field as well as due to magnetic field, because magnetic field is always there, but the charged particle will experience the magnetic field only when it is moving, right? And why it is the case, I will explain it later. For the time being, you just accept the expression for the Lorentz force and just follow. So F equal to Q, the charge particle. And also I should mention that charge is something which is invariant, right? Charge doesn't change. It is an experimental fact that charge, if you go from one frame to other, like mass changes, right? Okay, this is a very interesting topic, so I am not going to that. So for the timing, I'm just mentioning here that the charge is an invariant quantity. It is not going to change from one frame to other. So Q times electric field E plus velocity U cross B. And we know the components of U already, right? I have written the components Ux, Uy, Uz. And what is the Lorentz force acting on the charge particle in the prime frame? That is the rest frame of the charge particle. Because the charge particle is at rest in its own rest frame, there should not be any force due to the magnetic field, right? So in the prime frame or the rest frame of the particle, we are writing the force. F prime will be simply charge is again same, and the electric field is not same. It is E prime, right? But there will be no force due to the magnetic field. Look at this expression. So although it is the same charge particle, but the force acting in the two frames are not same. And we know how the different components of force relates to each other when we are dealing with two inertial frames. So let us write down the different components in S frame and S prime frame. So in S, first I write down in S, what will be Fx? Fx will be Q times Ex, X component of electric field, plus the X component of U cross B, because U cross B is another vector which has X, Y, and Z components. It's a cross product. You can easily calculate it. This will be Q times Ex, and this will be diagonally Uy Bz, cross product Uy Bz, and plus minus sign is there, so minus will be there, Uz By, Uz By. And you see, we already know what is Ux, Uy, Uz, everything, right? So let us simplify it. Since we know Uy is 0, Uz is 0, so this will be simply Q times Ex. Similarly, what is the Y component of the Lorentz force? Fy in this frame, first we will write down the components and then we shall relate. I'm not relating the components between the two frames right now. I'm writing the components first. Q into Ey plus again the Y component of U cross B, which is a vector, U cross B, Y component. This time this will be Q times Ey plus, okay, Yz, Zx, right? It's a cyclic, Uz Bx minus Ux Bz. And you know Ux, Uz both are, no. What is 0? Uz is 0, right? Uz is 0, but Ux is not 0. Ux equal to V. So this will be equal to Q times Ey minus V Bz. So this will be the Y component of the Lorentz force in the unprimed frame. And similarly, Fz I am not writing again. It's the same thing, Q into Ez plus U cross B of Z component, which you can again simplify, and that will give you, okay, let me write down Q into Ez plus Ux By minus Uy Bx, xy, Uy Bx. And what is Ux Uy? Uy is 0, but Ux is V. So this will be, I should write down, this will be, again I have gone to that side. Okay, this will be, Fz will be Q times Ez plus V, Ux is V, right? This is Ux, this is Ux, V, By. So these are the three components. We know X, Ey, Ez because E is known to us. We also know the velocity component of the particle in the laboratory frame, which we have already substituted. So we now know Fx, Fy, Fz acting on the charge particle in the laboratory frame. What are the corresponding quantities in the rest frame of the charge particle? As I have already mentioned that there are no force due to the magnetic field, only electric field is there in this frame. So we shall write down, it's very simple, Fx prime equal to Q times Ex prime. There is no magnetic field, no cross product. Very simple. Fy prime equal to Q Uy prime and Fz prime equal to Qz prime. Now remember the previous equation, how Fx prime and Fx are connected. how Fy prime and Fy is connected, and how Fz prime and Fz is connected. If you remember that, you can find out some relation between electric field and electric field in the two frames. Let us do that. So I just remind you the equation. Let me rewrite them if you have forgotten that. View, okay, page, new page after. Okay. So if you have, if you don't remember, I will write down them once again. So what are the transformation of four force? Okay, let me write down that. So okay, I'm writing here what was fx prime, fx prime equal to fx minus v by c square into u dot f divided by that factor over there, 1 minus ux 1 minus ux v by c square. Let us first simplify, because you already know the different components of velocity, right? V is the, here you see this v is the velocity of the frame, right? And if I ask you what are the different I mean, if in the prime frame and the unprimed frame, we're connecting the components of force. So what should I write? Fx, Fy and F prime. So how do I connect them? What will be the relationship between Fx and Fx prime? Or maybe, I mean, you can use either of the relations, say Fx equal to Fx prime. Both will give you same result, v by c square u prime dot. This one will be easy to use. Why I'm telling you? Because all the components of velocity are 0 in that frame, right? That's why you can choose this to be more useful here. Ux prime v by c square, right? X prime v by c square. Now look at the different values here. What are the components of velocity in the prime frame? If I ask you, the particle, the prime frame is nothing but the rest frame of the particle, right? Right? So ux
Yes,
prime
sir.
equal to 0, uy prime equal to 0, uz prime equal to 0. All are 0, right? So that will make it vanish, right? Because u prime dot f prime is ux prime fx prime plus uy prime fy prime plus uz prime fz prime. Since all of them are 0, the second term will be 0, and also so is this term, right? This will be also 0 because ux prime is 0. That means it is telling you that fx equal to fx prime, right? And we have calculated the form of fx in the unprimed frame and fx prime in the prime frame. So we shall use that, but let me just first write down the simplified version of this fx fy. So what will be fy? Similarly, what will be fy? If you remember, fy was fy prime divided by gamma v into 1 plus, right, ux prime v by c square, right? Again, since ux prime is 0, this will be 0. So fy will be fy prime by gamma v, right? And fz will be fz prime divided by gamma v into 1 plus ux prime by c square, which is again 0. So this will be fz prime by gamma v, right? So what is the consequence of this motion? You see, the y component and z component of the force are reduced by a factor of gamma. Gamma is a number which is larger than 1. So if you divide this, it will be smaller number, right? So fy fz has compressed or become smaller. I mean, in the opposite, in the unprimed frame. Prime frame, it will be larger. Okay, fine. Anyway, so if we now know this relationship between fx and fy prime, and this one and this one, then we can use the previous expression that we obtained for the transformation of the low range force. So let me again rewrite that. If you have forgotten that, I'm just writing maybe for the maybe I should go to the next page. Okay, so I'm just writing them once again just to remind you, because you may have forgotten this. Okay, first I write fx equal to fx prime, fy equal to fy prime by gamma v, and fz equal to fz prime by gamma v. And now I substitute just fx and okay, maybe I can write down them if you don't remember. Fx equal to q times ex. What was fy? Fy was q times ey minus vvz. And what was fz? Fz was q times ez plus vvy. And what was f x prime? X prime was q into ex prime. What was f y prime? Q into ey prime. And what was fz prime? That was q into ez prime. Now use these relations. I just have to substitute them. If I substitute that, I get ex prime equal to ex, because q doesn't change from frame to frame, right? So I'm just equating this with this, right? So q cancelled out, so ex prime equal to ex. What is ey prime? Again, you just equate this term with this term, q cancelled out, so ey prime equal to gamma of v. Wait, I have probably yeah, right, just a minute. Okay, fine, because there is a gamma v factor here, so I have to multiply that. Gamma v ey prime will be gamma v. I'm just multiplying gamma v into ui minus v vz. And in the same manner, ez prime will be gamma v ez plus v dy. So this gives you the transformation of electric field between two inertial frame when one frame is moving with respect to other along x-axis with velocity v. You can see that you can easily find out the transformation equation when the prime frame is moving along y-axis or z-axis, because if it is moving along the y-axis, you see what is the pattern. You should look at the pattern, right? You see the x component doesn't change. That means the component of the electric field which is parallel to the motion doesn't change. So you can just guess that if it is moving along the y-axis, ui prime will be equal to ui, and ex prime and ez prime will change. And again, in the same fashion, in a cyclic manner, you can find out what is plus and what is minus, what should be the second term over there, right? And similarly, if it is moving along the z-axis, this will be unchanged, ez prime will be ez, and ex and ui change. Of course, you can combine them all together to get a transformation equation, which is not very difficult to get. But here I am using this simple scenario because that will give you some insight into the problem, right? Now you see, so you know now of course you can also simplify it further in terms of the parallel and perpendicular component. If I write down the component of electric field parallel to the motion and perpendicular to the motion, I can club them together to write down in terms of two equations. So E parallel prime, E electric field component of electric field parallel to the motion will be same. E parallel prime will be E parallel, and E perpendicular prime. See, y and z component both are perpendicular to the motion. The perpendicular prime will be gamma v. It's a general form which you can write down here. E perpendicular, you see in case of y it is y, in case of z it is z, and there is sign here. So plus, if you take product v cross b, you can check it. In case of y component will be minus, in case of plus z component will be plus. V plus b perpendicular, right? So this is the transformation of electric field in a specific transformation where the prime frame is moving along the x-axis with velocity v, right? Okay, what about magnetic field? We have not obtained any expression for magnetic field yet. Why? Because if you remember the example that I have given to you, I have chosen one frame to be the laboratory frame and the other frame to be the rest frame of the charged particle. If the particle is at rest in its own rest frame, there will be no force due to the magnetic field. So we have to modify our choice of the prime frame. Otherwise, we will not be able to relate magnetic field, because there is no magnetic field in the prime frame. So how do I get the relationship between magnetic field between the two frames? If I don't have any terms involving B prime in the prime frame, how do I get the relation? To achieve that, so what we modify is simply that consider the prime frame to be a frame which is moving with velocity v along the x-axis, within which the charged particle is moving along some other direction other than x, say y or z. Okay, let me draw the picture that will make the thing clear. So what we shall do next is to just consider another inertial frame, not the one which we have talked before this, right? So let me just draw the picture that will make the things a bit simpler. Then I will write down the expression. Okay, where is that? Okay, here. So we have a laboratory frame which we label as S frame. Okay, this is our S frame, X, Y, and Z. And we have a background electromagnetic field. Let us label the field where, I mean, quantities as E and B in the laboratory frame. And in this frame, we consider another inertial frame, which is not the rest frame of charge particle. This is not the same frame that we talked about. This is a prime frame, is a frame which is moving with respect to the laboratory frame S. We label this frame as prime frame S prime, which is moving with velocity v along the x-axis. So it may sound that it's the same frame. Yes, I mean the nature of the frame is same. It is moving along the x-axis with velocity v, but the charge particle is no longer at rest in this frame. The charge particle, so this is not the rest frame of charge particle. The charge particle itself is moving along, say, y-axis with some non-zero velocity, right? The charge particle q is now moving. Why we have done this? To allow the magnetic field to work on the charge particle so that it experiences some force to the magnetic field. So we have some non-zero term to the magnetic field, and then we can relate the two between the two inertial frame. So in this frame, let us label the quantities to be E prime and B prime, just in the same manner that we did earlier. And let us write down the components of velocity. So what is the x component of velocity of the charge particle in this frame? What is ux prime? What is ux prime?
0, sir.
0.
Okay, what is ui prime? Ui prime is some non-zero, right? Some non-zero value. Let us call it okay, some non-zero value. It is not v, some non-zero, right? And uz prime, you can use something, okay, x, y, z, w, whatever. And uz prime is again 0, right? And what are the corresponding quantities in the laboratory frame? Let us write down that. What is ux? What is ux?
B, sir.
Correct. Ux is v, because the frame itself is moving. The frame which contains this charge particle itself is moving along the x-axis. So ux is v. What is uy?
0.
No. Okay. To
No.
get an idea. Okay. Let me write down that. You may have forgotten this expression. So I shall write down that. So ux and ux prime, how are they connected? This is the inverse transformation. Ux prime by, that's why these plus signs are there. Ux prime v by c square, right? That's why if you put, you see, you put ux prime equal to 0. Put ux prime equal to 0, this will give you v, right? You don't have to guess. You can put down the value and find out, right? So ux equal to v. What is uy? So uy equal to uy prime divided by gamma v. This is again an inverse transformation. Ux prime v by c square, right? If I write uy prime, then it will be uy divided by gamma v into 1 minus ux v by c square, right? This one. Again, you put the values, right? What is ux prime? Ux prime is 0, so there will be no second term here. Uy prime is non-zero, so uy will be uy prime, whatever it is, let us call it uy prime by gamma v. So this will be uy prime divided by gamma v. And what is uz? In a similar manner, I can write down what is uz. Uz is uz prime divided by gamma v into 1 plus ux prime v by c square. Again, second term will be 0 because ux prime is 0. So we are left with only uz prime by gamma v, right? So since uz prime itself is 0 here, right? Uz prime is 0. So this will be 0 because uz prime is 0. If I put uz prime equal to 0, uz will be 0. Fine. So again, we are now ready because we have all the components of velocity. So you just have to simplify things and relate them in the two frames. That will give us the relationship between the magnetic field. Let us do that. Okay. Now I will just write down. It's a just monotonous exercise because I'm just going to do the same thing which I did earlier. So in S frame, let us write down the quantities. It will make things simpler. So in S frame, first I write down the components. Ux equal to v, right? Uy we just calculated equal to uy prime by gamma v. Uy prime divided by gamma v, and uz was 0. Now we shall calculate the components of say force. What is Fx? Again, it's the same exercise. Fx equal to q times Ex, and then u cross b x. I'm just writing down. I'm not repeating again. Uy bz minus uz by. This is the x component of u cross b. And since you see, since uy is 0, second term will vanish. This will become q times Ex minus, no, plus uy is 0, just a minute, uz plus by, which one is 0? Uz is 0, so this will be 0, right? This will be 0. The Ex plus uy bz, right? What will be the y component of force in this frame? Fy will be again q times y component of electric field plus y component of u cross b, that will be uz bx minus ux bz. Again we substitute the values and get q into ey. You see uz is 0, so this will be ey minus, what is ux? You can directly put v here, v into vz. And in the same manner, z component of force in this frame will be q times Ez plus z component of u cross b, that will be ux by minus ui bx. None of them are 0, right? Ux is non-zero, ui is also non-zero. So I have to write down all the terms. Q into Ez plus ux is v, so v by minus ui is non-zero. Let us write down it is ui into bx, right? Okay, now we do the same thing in S prime. In S prime, this is in S. In S prime, what are the components of velocity? Ux prime was 0. There are no motion along the x-axis. Only motion is along the y-axis, right? Uy prime is non-zero. Uz prime is 0. No motion along x and z axis. Only along the y-axis. The particle is shoot along the y-axis. So we shall write down the components of force Fx prime in the same way. Q times, I'm not repeating, it's the same. Okay, only prime, Ex prime plus Uy prime and Bz prime. Just the same thing with prime quantity. Right? You can just Uz prime, By prime, right? If you put the values, what you get? Q times Ex prime, and you see what are 0? Ui prime is non-zero, Uz prime is 0. So you have Ui prime, Ex prime plus Uy prime, Bz prime, right? Similarly, Fy prime, again write down the same thing with a prime. Fy will be Ey prime plus Uz prime Bx prime minus Ux prime Bz prime. If I substitute the values, it will be Q times Uy prime, both are 0, right? Uz prime is 0, Ux prime is 0. So I have only Q into Ui prime, U into Ui prime. And in the same manner, Fz prime will be Q times Ez prime plus Ux prime By prime minus Ui prime Bx prime. That will be equal to Q times Ez. Ux prime is 0, this is 0, this will go, so this will be there, minus of this prime Uy prime Bx prime. Okay, all the components are known in both the frames, and we know the transformation equations, right? You just have to use those transformation equations. Let us write down the transformation equations and simplify it. So in this case, okay, let me go to the next page. Okay, So we have all the components in our hand. So let me just write down the transformation of force. So what was the inverse transformation? Fx equal to, if you remember, fx prime plus v by c square. What was that? U dot f or u prime dot f. Ux prime, fx prime. You can write down, or you can also write down just dot product u prime dot f prime, u y prime, fy prime plus uz prime, fz prime
Hello students.
divided by 1 plus ux prime v by c square, right? Since what are the different, ux prime is 0, ux prime is 0, uz prime is 0, there is only ui prime which is non-zero, right? So this will be also 0 because ux prime is 0. So fx will be equal to fx prime plus v by c square u y prime f y prime, right? This will be fx. What will be fy? Again, I mean, they're quite simple. I am just writing here fy will be what? Fy prime, we did it earlier, 1 plus gamma v times 1 plus ux prime v by c square. Since ux prime is 0, fy will be fy prime divided by gamma v. In the same manner, fz will be, I'm not repeating it, fz prime by gamma v, right? So all the relations are known. Fy equal to fy prime by gamma v, fz equal to fz prime by gamma v, and fx equal to fx prime plus this quantity, right? And we know what is the ux prime, y prime, uz prime, and what is ux, y, uz, and also the components of force. Just have to put down the values and simplify it. And also remember that we have already obtained the relationship between electric field. And what are those relationships? If you have forgotten that, I'm writing it here. Just a few minutes back, we calculated what are the components of electric field and magnetic, electric field. Ex prime equal to ex, ey prime equal to gamma v ey minus vvz. Remember, the transformation is not different. We have just applied the same transformation. The prime frame is moving with respect to the unprime frame with velocity v along the x-axis. So the transformation equations are not going to change. The only difference is here that we have forced the charge particle in the prime frame to move along the y-axis. That's the only difference. Both the transformation are same. We are applying the transformation between two inertial frame, one of which is at rest, another is moving along the x-axis with velocity v. So this transformation equation should be applicable here as well, right? Don't think that here, since the particle is moving along the y-axis, so the electric field should transform in a different manner. No, the transformation are always between two inertial frame, right? And that remains same here. Ui prime and Ez prime equal to gamma v into what was that? I think the plus sign, gamma v into Ez plus v by, right? And now just substitute the value. So from the first, let us take this equation. This which one? This one. Okay, let us take this equation. What was fx? If you remember that fx was q times, I'm not writing all those equations, otherwise it will take a lot of time. Fx equal to q into ex plus uy bz. This was fx. What was fx prime? Fx prime was q into ex prime. You can recall that they are very similar other than this prime sign, ui prime, bz prime. Then we have this v by c square into this term plus v by c square. What is ui prime? That's a non-zero quantity, ui prime. And if you remember that y component of the force was q times u prime, ui prime, q times ui prime. You can throw away the q term from each of them. Q, q, q. I've thrown the terms q from both sides, and I shall use the transformation of electric field here, because you know what is relationship between ex prime and ex. So I can write down ex prime equal to ex. And what is the ui prime? Ui prime is gamma v times ui minus v into bz. So if you substitute that, okay, let us simplify it a bit further. This will be ex plus uy times bz equal to, I am writing ex prime equal to ex. So ex plus what is ui prime bz prime, right? Let us write down that. What is that? No, just a minute, because we have a gamma factor. Should there be a gamma factor? Let me remember. Am I missing a gamma factor somewhere or no? UI. Wait. Ex plus ui bz equal to is this equation. So this equation involved a gamma factor. Let me just recheck it. Okay, ui prime and ui, if I remember that correctly, where is that? Ui and ui prime are related by this equation divided by gamma v, right? Okay, this was derived earlier. Ui equal to ui prime by gamma v. So now, okay, I think we have to go to the next page. Okay, now view page after. Okay, so I'm just okay, let me just write down the equation, otherwise it may sound confusing. Okay, what was that, the equation over these two sides? Okay, okay, I'm writing them. Ex plus uy bz into q equal to, I'm writing the same expression which I wrote earlier in the previous page, ex prime, so that you can follow the next steps. Uy prime bz prime plus v by c square uy prime q into ey prime. I cancelled q from all the terms because they are common in each term, and then I wrote ex plus uy bz, and using the transformation of electric field I wrote ex prime equal to ex. And since I told you that ui and ui prime are connected by a gamma factor, ui equal to ui prime by gamma v, so here I can write ui prime equal to gamma v into ui. So plus gamma v into ui is ui prime. We have already derived this transformation into bz prime plus v by c square. Again, I told you ui prime is gamma v into ui, so there is a gamma v here. And again, in case of ui prime is what we have already derived the transformation of ui prime is gamma v into ui minus vbz. Okay, let me write down that if you have forgotten that. Ey prime equal to gamma v into ui minus vbz, right? And ui prime equal to gamma v into ui. So I'm just substituting them here. This will give us v by c square into gamma v square, 2 gamma v, 1 gamma v here, 1 gamma v here. Ui prime and ui prime and ey prime both contain a gamma v. That gives us a gamma v square into ui into ui minus vbz. That comes from here, right? Ui minus vbz. Fine. Okay, since ex is on both sides, again you can drop this and write down vz. I am dividing this by ey, so bz will be gamma v into bz prime. Why? Because this ey get cancelled. I am dividing by ey plus v by c square gamma v square ey minus vbz. Let us simplify this. So bz prime, we want to write down the transform quantities in the prime frame. Bz prime will be 1 by gamma v times bz plus gamma v into v square by c square times bz minus gamma v times v by c square into ey. If I take bz gamma v common, bz times gamma v common, I shall have 1 by gamma v square plus v square by c square minus gamma v by c square ey. And what is gamma v square? that is 1 minus 1 by gamma v square, that is 1 minus v square by c square. So v square by c square we can get cancelled. We will have bz gamma v minus gamma v by c square into ey. This will give us gamma v common nichi, gamma v equal to gamma v into bz minus v by c square times ey. So now we know how the z component of magnetic field transform when we go from one inertial frame to other. So this bz is the magnetic z component of magnetic field in the unprime frame, and bz prime is in the prime frame. So you have got the transformation for one component. Let us derive the other. Just a minute. Okay, then we have the second transformation equation. If you remember, fy was equal to fy prime divided by gamma v, right? And we have calculated fy. Fy was gamma v into q ey minus v bz. And why gamma v? I have multiplied gamma v on that side, so that's why gamma v is here. And what was fy prime? That was q into ey prime, q into ey prime. And if you remember the transformation of ey, you will see that this is nothing but q into gamma v ey minus v bz. So you get nothing. You see, gamma v into q equal to the same thing, q into gamma. We get nothing out of this equation. No new relation. Okay, what was the other one? Fz equal to fz prime by gamma v. We can use this. So what is fz prime and fz? I'm writing, multiplying gamma v on that side. So gamma v times fz is q into ez plus v by. We have already obtained this. Ui bx is equal to q times ez prime minus ui prime bx prime. These are already obtained. Okay, I'm just substituting them. And gamma v again, gamma v. So can I cancel q? Okay, gamma v, q can be cancelled, right? Q, okay, not gamma v. Okay, gamma v can cancel. At this moment I'm cancelling q on both sides, and then I am writing gamma v into ez plus v by minus ui bx is equal to now I am substituting the value of ez prime, because we know what is ez prime. That is gamma v into, this was obtained earlier, ez plus v by, right, minus what is ui prime. I told you earlier, this is gamma v into ui, right, and bx prime is bx prime, this one. Now if you see, this is what, gamma v into ez plus vy. If I separate them out, this will give gamma v. You can also take common and drop gamma v, all side. Now ez plus vy this side, also ez plus vy this side, that side. Minus gets cancelled, ui gets cancelled. So this tells you that bx prime equal to bx, right? So bx prime equal to bx, and we have also obtained the relationship between the z component, right? In the previous line, previous page, I told you that bz prime equal to gamma v into bz minus v by c square into ui. But we have not still obtained any relationship between the y component of the magnetic field in the two frames. Why? Because again, we have shoot the particle along the y-axis, and magnetic field acts, right? You know the nature of magnetic field, that is always u cross b, right? Magnetic field acts orthogonal to that. So that's why we have no y component arriving in this case. To get that, again, this is a trivial exercise. What you have to do, you just have to consider another case where the prime frame, so suppose this is the prime frame, this is x, y, sorry, this is x, this is y, this is z, this is lab frame, this is the lab frame, xy, z, these are prime quantities, sorry, prime quantities. This is s prime moving along x-axis velocity v, this is s frame. So consider a particle, charge particle in the prime frame which is not moving along the y-axis but along the z-axis, right, z-axis. This will give you the expression. So in this case, velocity, the charge particle will be u prime will be uz prime, right, non-zero. This is not non-zero, and all the other component, that means ux prime will be 0, ui prime will be 0, only uz prime will be non-zero, right. If you use this, then you will arrive at the transformation between the y component of magnetic field in the two frames. The exercise is quite exactly similar, that's why I'm not repeating it. Anybody can do it, just you have to equate the different components of force, considering the appropriate force equation. Of course, here the charge particle is moving along the z-axis, right, so there will be no force along this direction. Just like in the previous case, the magnetic field was not applying any force on the charge particle along the most of the particle, that is along the y-axis. That's why we do not have any new equation coming up from the these y components. Fine. So I'm just writing down the three equations that, the equation that we will obtain by doing that. If you, so let me write down the equation first. So if you do that, the equation that you will arrive at will be by prime will equal to gamma v times by plus v by c square into Ez, right? And these two equations are already obtained. Bx prime equal to bx, and bz prime was equal to how much? Bz prime was equal to gamma v times bz minus v by c square into Ey. You can combine them again in terms of a parallel component and perpendicular component if you like. You can write b parallel prime is equal to b parallel. As you can see, the motion is along x-axis, and the component of the field doesn't change along the along the component which is parallel to the motion doesn't change, and b perpendicular prime will be equal to gamma v times b perpendicular. This time you write minus sign here to take account this plus minus sign, 1 by c square v cross E. So clearly what you can see or appreciate that electric field, and we already know from Maxwell's equation that electric field, magnetic field are not independent quantities, right? And here you can see the mixing of electric field and magnetic field. The magnetic field, electric field gets mixed up. Why? You can see it. Suppose I take a frame here, right, where say this is S frame, okay, and say I'm not labeling the axis because it's not necessary, S prime. So here suppose E equal to 0, non-zero, and say B equal to 0. So there is only electric field, no magnetic field. If you apply this transformation which I have derived today, you will see that E parallel prime is E parallel. That is known to us, right? And also we derived E perpendicular prime just few pages back, gamma v times E perpendicular, right? Okay, if you have forgotten, I can write down that equation again. That was what was that equation? That was, okay, maybe I should write it here somewhere here. E parallel prime was equal to E parallel, and E perpendicular prime was equal to gamma v times E perpendicular plus v cross b perpendicular. You see, since there is in this frame there is no magnetic field, B is 0, that's why I have written here gamma v E perpendicular. Only second term goes to 0. And similarly, if you look at the magnetic field, you see B parallel prime will be 0, because B parallel prime equal to B parallel, and B equal to 0, so that will be 0. But what is B perpendicular prime? You see, even though magnetic field is 0 in this frame, we have a magnetic field coming up here. B perpendicular prime will be equal to, you see, this term will be 0 since B perpendicular 0, but since there is an electric field, that converted into a magnetic field here. So minus 1 by c square, or maybe gamma v, I can multiply gamma v by c square into v cross E perpendicular, v cross E E perpendicular, right? Similarly, you can see if I have another case where electric field is 0, magnetic field is non-zero, then also you can see that in the prime frame, it is not necessary to have a zero electric field, because although E parallel prime will be 0, but E perpendicular prime will not be 0, because that depends on the magnetic field, and magnetic field is non-zero. So that will give you gamma V. You see, if you from this equation, E perpendicular, you see gamma V, electric field is 0. So first term will be 0, but there is another term V cross B. So that will give you gamma V into V cross B perpendicular. In the same fashion, you can also get the magnetic fields. Since B is non-zero, you will get B parallel prime equal to B parallel, and B perpendicular prime will be equal to, you see, B perpendicular prime, what will be that? You see, since there is no electric field, the second term will be 0. You see, second term will be 0, electric field 0. So this will be simply gamma V into B perpendicular, perpendicular, right? Magnetic field increases by gamma, factor of gamma. So clearly, the electric field and magnetic field are something which we have not yet clearly understood, but we know at least the transformation equation, how they transform between two inertial frame. And it tells us that electric field and magnetic field are mixed up. I mean, just like space-time gets mixed up, here also we can see that electric field is 0 in one frame, whether in other frame we have both electric field and magnetic field. You can easily appreciate that, because in the first example, when I told you the charge particle is rest in its own rest frame, but it is moving in the lab frame. In the lab frame, we have both electric field and magnetic field, but in the rest frame, we have only electric field, no magnetic field. So it is telling us that the electric field, magnetic field are something which are actually not different thing. They are, I mean, representation of the same physical quantity or same physical entity in different forms. To understand the physical meaning or origin of these two things in a separate manner, we have to discuss a little bit more, which I am not going to discuss today. Maybe we will continue our discussion in the next class based on the equation that we have derived in today's class. So I stop here, and if you have any doubts or questions, please ask.
স্যার বলছি ওই বি ডিরাইভ করার সময় যখন ই এর ভ্যালু পুট করলেন, হ্যাঁ, তো তো সেই জায়গাটার ভ্যালিডিটিটা মানে ইটা তো মানে অন্যরকম ভাবে ডিরাইভ করা হয়েছিল, সেই জায়গাটা পরিষ্কার হয়নি।
সেটাই বললাম আমি আবার, যে আমরা এখানে ইলেকট্রিক ফিল্ড আর ম্যাগনেটিক ফিল্ডের ট্রান্সফরমেশন ইকুয়েশন বার করার চেষ্টা করছি। আর এই ডাউটটা যে অ্যারাইজ করতে পারে সেটা মাথায় রেখে আমি ওখানে এটা মেনশন করলাম, যে আমরা কিভাবে বার করছি। চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা ডিফারেন্ট ভাবে মুভ করলে কি ইলেকট্রিক ফিল্ডটা পাল্টে যাবে? আমি তো ফ্রেমের রেসপেক্টে দেখছি। আমি যখন সেকেন্ড টাইম ক্যালকুলেট করছি তখন কি আমি বলছি যে চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা রেস্ট ফ্রেম থেকে করছি? তাহলে জিনিসটা আলাদা হয়ে যেত। চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা তোমার যদি ভাবতে অসুবিধা হয়, এভাবে ভাবো না যে এস আর এস প্রাইম দুটো ফ্রেম রয়েছে, এস প্রাইম ফ্রেমে চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা রেস্টে আছে, রেস্ট ফ্রেম বলছি বলে তোমার ভুলে যাচ্ছে হয়তো। চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা তুমি ভাবো যে চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা এস আর এখানে মাত্র দুটো ইনার্শিয়াল ফ্রেম রয়েছে, একটা ফ্রেম ল্যাব ফ্রেম রেস্টে আছে, আর একটা ফ্রেম মুভ করছে ভি ভেলোসিটি নিয়ে অ্যালং এক্স অ্যাক্সিস। ফাইন, ইন বোথ দ্য ক্যালকুলেশন হুইচ আই হ্যাভ পারফর্ম টুডে, দিস হ্যাজ নট চেঞ্জড, ইটস দ্য সেম, রাইট? একটা ফ্রেম রেস্টে, একটা ফ্রেম ভি ভেলোসিটি নিয়ে এক্স অ্যাক্সিস বরাবর মুভ করছে। তফাৎটা শুধু চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা কিভাবে মুভ করছে। তো চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা কিভাবে মুভ করে তার উপর ডিপেন্ড করে কি ইলেকট্রিক ফিল্ড পাল্টে যাবে? মানে ফ্রেম দুটোর মধ্যে চার্জ পার্টিকেল রেস্ট ফ্রেমে গেলে পাল্টাতে পারে, তাই না? ভালো করে ভেবে দেখো আমি কি বলছি। চার্জ পার্টিকেলটা একবার স্থির ছিল প্রাইম ফ্রেমে, একবার মুভ করছে অ্যালং ওয়াই অ্যাক্সিস। এই দুটো জিনিস পাল্টেছে, রাইট? এটা আবার জেড অ্যাক্সিস বরাবর মুভ করতে পারে, যেটা বললাম যে অন্য কেসটা বার করতে গেলে জেড অ্যাক্সিস বরাবর শুট করতে পার্টিকেলটা। তো পার্টিকেলটা বিভিন্নভাবে মুভ করতে পারে, কিন্তু আমার দুটো ফ্রেম কিন্তু একই আছে, তাই আমি ইলেকট্রিক ফিল্ডের ট্রান্সফরমেশনটা ইউজ করতে পারছি, নাহলে করতে পারতাম না। তোমার অবজেকশনটা কারেক্ট হতো যদি তুমি বলতে যে দুটো ইনার্শিয়াল ফ্রেম আলাদা, এখন সেটা আলাদা নয়, সেটা সেম। ইজ মাই পয়েন্ট ক্লিয়ার?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ।
এনিথিং এলস?
হ্যালো স্যার।
হ্যাঁ বলো।
আগের দিনে যেটা বললেন ওইখান থেকে একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল,
বলো।
ওই যে যখন ফ্রেমটা একটা অ্যাক্সেলারেশন নিয়ে যাবে তখন বললেন যে ওই মানে অনেক সিকোয়েন্স নিয়ে, ইনার্শিয়াল ফ্রেমের সিকোয়েন্স নিয়ে ওই নন ইনার্সিয়াল ওটাকে মানে ইয়ে করার জন্য তাহলে যদি ওই ফ্রেমের ভেতরে মানে যেটা অ্যাক্সেলারেশন নিয়ে যাচ্ছে তখন ওখানে কোনো একটা ইভেন্ট ঘটে, আর ওখানে যদি দুটো অবজারভারের ক্ষেত্রে ইভেন্টটা সাইমালটেনিয়াস হয় তাহলে আমি তখন সেই ঘটনার ক্ষেত্রে এস ফ্রেম থেকে মানে যেটা রেস্টে আছে সেই ফ্রেম থেকে কিভাবে বলবো মানে ইভেন্ট দুটো সাইমালটেনিয়াস নয়?
দেখো, এটা তো রিলেটিভিটির বেসিক আইডিয়া যে সাইমালটেনিয়াস ব্যাপারটা রিলেটিভ, তুমি কোন ফ্রেমে আছো।
কিন্তু এখানে তো আমি
না না না
ওইটাকে একটা আলাদা ইনার্সিয়াল ফ্রেম হিসেবে বলতে পারছি না।
ওয়েট
মানে
আমি তোমার প্রশ্নটা যদি কারেক্ট ভাবে বুঝে থাকি তাহলে তুমি উত্তরটা পাবে, না হলে পাবে না, কারণ প্রশ্নটা কারেক্ট না হলে আনসারটাও কারেক্ট হবে না। ঠিক আছে, আগে প্রশ্নটা কারেক্ট করতে হবে। আমি যেমন বলছি, একটা অ্যাক্সিলারেটিং চার্জ পার্টিকেলকে আমি একটা সিঙ্গেল ইনার্সিয়াল ফ্রেম দিয়ে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে পারি না। ফর এ পার্টিকুলার মোমেন্ট, সে ফর টি ইকুয়াল টু 5 সেকেন্ড, একটা পার্টিকুলার মোমেন্টের অ্যারাউন্ড ডেল্টা টি, সে 1 ন্যানো সেকেন্ড নিলাম, সেই সময় একটা ইনার্সিয়াল ফ্রেম আমি কনসিডার করছি যেটা কিনা একটা নিয়ারলি কনস্ট্যান্ট ভেলোসিটি নিয়ে মুভ করছে, হুইচ ইজ অ্যান ইনার্সিয়াল ফ্রেম। নাও ইফ সাম ইভেন্ট ওই পার্টিকুলার সময়ে যদি দুটো ইভেন্ট সাইমালটেনিয়াস হয় ওই ফ্রেমে, তাহলে there is no guarantee that that will be simultaneous in another inertial frame, irrespective of whether the particle is accelerating or not, because once you consider a number of frame instead of a single frame, there is no ambiguity. You are not discussing any inertial frame. The inertial frames are not a subject of discussion in special relativity, right? So what I told you, that instead of thinking about a single non-inertial frame, what you think is that there is an inertial frame attached to the accelerating particle at each and every instant of time. So for a given instant of time, so t equal to 5 seconds, suppose two events occurred at the same moment in the accelerating frame at t equal to 5 seconds. Now those two events may not be simultaneous in my frame, which is at rest in the laboratory frame. So whether it's simultaneous or not, that will depend on the relative motion between the two frames, right? So two events are not going to be simultaneous. That's an obvious fact of relativity, right? You don't need to prove it. They're not definitely going to be non-simultaneous in another frame, যেটা আমরা স্পেস টাইম ডায়াগ্রাম থেকে আগে আলোচনা করেছি। আর অ্যাক্সিলারেটিং ভাবতে গিয়ে গুলিয়ে ফেলো না, কারণ তুমি যেটা ভাবছো যে ওটা অ্যাক্সিলারেট করছে, যখনই আমি একটা পার্টিকুলার মোমেন্টে ধরে নিচ্ছি যে ভেলোসিটিটা কনস্ট্যান্ট অ্যারাউন্ড এ স্মল ডেল্টা টি, তখন আর ওই প্রশ্নটা আসছেই না। ইটস জাস্ট অ্যানাদার ইনার্সিয়াল ফ্রেম। It is just another inertial frame. The next moment I can consider another small time. Again, this is something abstraction which I told you again in the previous class, that how small that delta t should be, that can be something somewhat arbitrary. You cannot really define nanosecond or picosecond, kikon-second, that is something arbitrary. Okay, the smaller you make, the things become more appropriate. Your approximation will be more valid when you make delta t smaller and smaller, but you cannot make it 0. That is impossible. Have I answered the question? If not, then
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. If
Yes,
not,
sir,
then
স্যার, হ্যাঁ
বলো।
ও যেটা প্রশ্ন, হ্যাঁ আগের দিনেরটা নিয়েই প্রশ্ন, যে আগের দিন স্যার যখন আপনি পার্টিকেলের ফ্রেমে এমইউ বার করেছিলেন, হ্যাঁ, তো সেখানে
কি বার করেছিলাম?
এমইউ মানে অ্যাক্সিলারেশনটা,
ও এমইউ, আচ্ছা এ আমি
এমইউ যখন স্যার, হ্যাঁ
ঠিক একদম ঠিক।
আগের দিন যখন 4 অ্যাক্সিলারেশন বার করেছিলেন, সেখানে আপনি ইউ টার্মটাকে 0 বসিয়েছিলেন।
হ্যাঁ, ট্রু।
মানে
এইখানে তোমার অ্যাম্বিগুইটিটা আসছে যে যখনই তুমি মোমেন্ট ইনস্ট্যান্টানিয়াস অ্যাক্সিলারেশন, ইনস্ট্যান্টানিয়াস ভেলোসিটি, ইউটা 0 বসানোর মানেটা হচ্ছে ওই পার্টিকেলটা নিজের ফ্রেমে মুভ, যখনই আমি রেস্ট ফ্রেম বলছি, রেস্ট ফ্রেমে কোনো পার্টিকেল নিজের ফ্রেমে মুভ করতে পারে না, রাইট? সেটাই তার বক্তব্য। ইউ ইকুয়াল টু 0 বসানোর মানে হচ্ছে পার্টিকেলটা নিজের ফ্রেমে মুভ করতে পারে না, বিকজ ইউ আর কনসিডারিং দ্য ইভেন্টস ইন ইটস ওন রেস্ট ফ্রেম। যেই ফ্রেমে পার্টিকেলটা রেস্ট, একমাত্র ফোটন ছাড়া সব পার্টিকেলেরই রেস্ট ফ্রেম খুঁজে বার করা যায়। তুমি পার্টিকেলটার ফ্রেমে গেলে তো রেস্ট ফ্রেম চলে আসবে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, সেটা বলছি না। আমার প্রশ্ন তাহলে এটা কেন নন জিরো, মানে কেন অ্যাক্সিলারেশন ফিল করবে কেন?
হ্যাঁ, কারণ সেটাই বলা হচ্ছে যে ইনস্ট্যান্টানিয়াস অ্যাক্সিলারেশন, ওই তুমি ভেলোসিটিটা তুমি ওই ফ্রেমে জিরো করতে পারো, কিন্তু ওই ফ্রেমটা ওটা হচ্ছে ইনস্ট্যান্টানিয়াস অ্যাক্সেলারেশন। তুমি কখনোই যেহেতু তোমার প্রশ্নটা ক্লিয়ার, তুমি যেটা বলছো যে পার্টিকেলটা তো মুভ করছে না বলে ভেলোসিটি জিরো করতে, ভেলোসিটি না চেঞ্জ করলে কিন্তু ভেলোসিটি তোমার হচ্ছে গিয়ে ওই যে ডেল্টা টি সময়ে তুমি যে টাইমটা নিচ্ছ, ইউ ক্যানট মেক ইট জিরো, দ্যাটস দ্য লিমিটেশন, রাইট? সো অ্যাক্সিলারেশন পার্টিকেলটা স্টিল অ্যাক্সিলারেটিং। ফার্স্ট অফ অল এই পুরো অ্যাম্বিগুইটিটা আসছে বিকজ অফ দিস অ্যাক্সিলারেশন, কারণ আর এটাকে তুমি কখনোই রিমুভ করতে পারবে না প্রিসাইজলি। যে কারণে তুমি যদি খেয়াল করে থাকো, আমরা কিন্তু এইভাবে লিখতে পারতাম, এই কনফিউশনটা এড়ানোর জন্যই আমি কিন্তু আজকে যে ডিরাইভ করলাম 4 ফোর্স, এখানে আমি লিখতে পারতাম মাস ইন্টু 4 অ্যাক্সিলারেশন, লিখতে পারতাম তো, হ্যাঁ কি না?
হ্যাঁ
4 ফোর্স ইকুয়াল টু মাস ইন্টু 4 অ্যাক্সিলারেশন লিখতে পারতাম তো। আমি ওই অ্যাম্বিগুইটিটাকে অ্যাভয়েড করার জন্য এখানে লিখেছি বিপি মিউ ডি টাউ, দুটো ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট ডেফিনেশন, তুমি যদি বসাও একই এক্সপ্রেশন পেয়ে যাবে, রাইট? তো 4 অ্যাক্সিলারেশন ইটসেলফ হ্যাজ ভেরি স্পেসিফিক ইউজ, যেখানে তোমার ওই দেখবে তুমি পার্টিকেল ফিজিক্স কিছু জায়গাতে অ্যানিহিলেশন ক্রিয়েশন সেখানে কাজে লাগবে, কিন্তু ওই যেটা তুমি বললে ইউ ক্যানট রিমুভ দ্যাট অ্যাম্বিগুইটি কমপ্লিটলি, বিকজ there is no way you can make delta t exactly equal to 0. This is tends to 0, so whatever you do, there will be an instantaneous acceleration of the frame. It is not just exactly same as another simple inertial frame. Fine. So what I agree that this definition has certain limitation, of course, but it is not incorrect. What it is trying to say that it is an approximate thing. It is an approximate thing where you are trying to which is of inertial frame. Fine. So the instantaneous acceleration cannot, yeah. বলো।
হ্যাঁ স্যার আমি বলছিলাম যে স্যার ব্যাপারটা কি স্যার এরকম যে আমরা সেই স্কুলে পড়েছিলাম যে একটা পার্টিকেলকে যখন একদম উপরের দিকে ছড়া হয়, একদম টপ পয়েন্টে ভেলোসিটি জিরো কিন্তু অ্যাক্সিলারেশন থাকবে, এখানেও কি ব্যাপারটা অনেকটা সেরকম?
কাইন্ড অফ তাই মোমেন্টারিলি একটা স্মল টাইমে যদি তুমি ধরতে পারো ওটাকে, লাইক ভেলোসিটিটা জিরো হয়ে গেছে কিন্তু অ্যাক্সিলারেশন ঠিকই বলছো, যে যেমন তুমি বলছো ইট ইজ আমি কারেক্ট এক্সাম্পল, যে ভেলোসিটিটা জিরো হয়ে যাবে, দ্যাট ইজ স্টিল অ্যাক্সিলারেশন, ইটস কাইন্ড অফ দ্যাট। সো অ্যাক্সিলারেশন নিড নট বি জিরো, ইভেন ভেলোসিটি জিরো। বাট এগেন হোয়াট আই এম এমফাসাইজিং, যে এখানে এই ডেফিনেশনে একটা তুমি বলতেই পারো যে এই যে ডেল্টা টিটা কতটা ছোট নেব, দ্যাট ক্যান বি অলওয়েজ আস্কড, এনিবডি ক্যান আস্ক দ্যাট কোয়েশ্চেন, লাইক দ্যাট অবজেকশন কুড বি দেয়ার, বাট এগেন this is an approximation. Given delta t tends to 0, you can always use this approximation in theoretical manner. ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, আর কিছু কোশ্চেন? ওকে, যদি না থাকে তাহলে আমরা পরের দিন কন্টিনিউ করবো। ঠিক আছে, ওকে।
Okay, sir. Thank you.